Welcome back for another fun and exciting episode of For the North. I am PJ,
I'm Chris.
and we've got a little bit. We're gonna do a little bit different than we normally do in our episodes. Our format is normally that we would recap the games from last week, which we'll touch on those really quickly. But we're gonna do a little bit of a different format this week that we want to talk about right now because we're into late December, getting near Christmas. We want to talk about the playoffs and kind of the state of where the NFC North is looking if the playoffs were to start today. And then we're going to make our picks for the Week 15 games like we always do every week. So I think we dive in with that caveat for everyone so they kind of understand what we're doing. So
Yeah, I'd say let's first look at the Bears. So the Bears have been a good football team throughout. They played decently against the Packers, almost came down and tied it up to send it into overtime, kind of like you and I were talking about. Dug themselves in a hole early. Um, you know what? It would not surprise me on Sunday, basically, with the Bears. I did say Bears earlier, right? Just making sure.
yeah, you did say Bears.
Because with these late podcasts can get make me feel a little groggy since I'm not as able to stay up as late anymore. It would not surprise me to see the Bears go against the Browns and lose this Sunday. It also wouldn't surprise me to see them win in a dominant fashion. So, I think one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to be beaten pretty badly, whether that's a last-minute score by the Browns or, defensively or offensively, or they're going to win pretty handily on Sunday.
Yeah, I see that for the Bears that this and we'll talk about this. We'll touch again on this when we make our predictions. Like the Bears this year have been they've been winning games in this way where they have these miraculous fourth quarter comebacks and they're playing really tight, closely contested games. And to Caleb Williams' credit and Ben Johnson's credit and DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai and Colton Loveland, they've had these fantastic performances for 9, 10, 11 games. Like since week 2, the Bears have really been piecing this together and finding ways to win. But we talked about it in past episodes that this, living in this zone or this area of always winning one score or closely contested games where you have to have some sort of where it's turnover dependent, or you have to have some sort of miracle blocked field goal, or you're always getting the fourth quarter comeback. That's not sustainable, I think. Um, we also talked about it last week, or I had mentioned it last week, that like the Bears are a very talented team, but I want to see them beat an upper echelon, elite level team. The Packers were one of those teams, and I'm not saying that, you know, necessarily that the Packers are elite, but I am saying that the Packers are one of those kind of, you know, upper level competition teams that the Bears needed to go on the road and beat, and they didn't end up doing that last week. Um, Inconsistency, though, is
Yeah, at least an above average team, I would say.
exactly. So I kind of see it falling both ways. We talked about it last week as well, that the Bears are a couple of wins away from, you know, sealing this up and getting a spot in the playoffs, whether that be as a wild card, as a 6 or a 7 seed, or whether that is as, I think the way it stacks out, it could be the 1 seed based off of a few factors, but probably the NFC North winner is going to be the 2 seed at this point in the playoffs. And it's kind of come down to a 2-team race. So the Bears are, on the verge of doing something great. They've got to take care of business against Cleveland, but it could be a trap game. It could be one of those games where they're looking forward to next week, the Week 16 matchup, where they say, we've got Green Bay coming here and we've got revenge on the brain, and they're thinking solely about beating Green Bay and not taking care of the opponent that's in front of them.
Yeah, well, and let's look at Green Bay too. Green Bay is going to go against the Broncos here next week on not even next week, this Sunday.
This Sunday, yeah.
And they will have probably one of the toughest challenges ahead of them that they've had in a while, in terms of a team that has been able to adapt to almost anything that's been thrown at them. If you would have told me that the Denver Broncos were going to be in playoff contention this year, I would have probably laughed in your face.
Well, right.
It's based off their performances over the last few years.
Well, yeah, you would have if you would have told me at the beginning of the year, like we enter the draft and you say, okay, going into week 15, the Broncos are going to not only be leading their division, not only be leading the AFC in terms of playoff seeding, you were going to have Bo Nix playing phenomenal, and you were also going to have the Kansas City Chiefs not even being able to sniff catching up to them. They're on a 10-game winning streak. If you would have told us that around draft time, as you said, we would have laughed in your face and said, yeah, the Broncos are totally going to do that. Right. let me go and put good money on that, right?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Them and the Patriots are going to come down to the wire to be the best team.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the Packers, going back to the NFC North,
yeah.
I think the Packers will come out number 1. Though I can see them winning. I think they're going to win against the Bears. I think they're going to beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. The Vikings at home might be a little bit tougher challenge now that they're getting their footing and they actually have a consistent offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, so at this point, the NFC North, then, it sounds like you see it as a 2-team race at this point.
Yeah, for the most part. I also see it's going to be, it's going to be a tough one coming down to the end of the wire.
Yeah.
for a couple teams, especially the Lions and the Vikings. They cannot allow the. So the Vikings really can't have the Bears or Lions win. And yeah,
Right. Right. Like, well, the the crazy thing is, if we want to talk about the Vikings, right? They do technically have a 1% chance to make the playoffs.
they do.
A 1% chance.
And crazier things have happened.
Crazier
So
things. But like the first starting point of that for the Vikings is they need to win every game. Like every game they need to win every game in front of them and go 9-8. And then they need some help from the Bears and the Lions and the Packers. Some things need to happen, but like first and foremost, if you want to do it, which is not out of the realm of possibilities in the NFL, um, is you got to win the games in front of you, right?
right, and their biggest test will be this Sunday versus the Cowboys defense. Do I think they could win this game? Yes. Um, do I think that this game could be one that goes either way?
Mm-hmm.
Also, yes, I think it's going to be a closer game than what people think it's going to be based off the Vikings' performances as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whether that is wishful thinking on my part or a little bit of arrogance, I don't know. I just think, not arrogance, ignorance. Um, I I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I do think that if the Vikings can kind of hone in on JJ's strengths and find guys that are open, especially the guys that have been open in the middle of the field all year, um, it will be beneficial for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People who say, "Oh, KOC has simplified the playbook a little bit," it's like, yeah, maybe, but at the same time, like we saw the same throws in the Bears game, and he was not making those passes or completing those passes. So I think the Vikings are headed in the right direction. With J.J. McCarthy, even despite the rumors that have been coming out today, I'm sure you follow those too, PJ.
I do. I've heard some crazy things spinning. A possible quarterback that some of the media says that the Vikings should make an effort to go after in the off season.
Yeah, whether they do or not is going to depend solely on cap space, but
We'll we'll talk about that.
we
By
will
the way,
visit that.
for those of us that think we're talking in for those of you our listeners that think we're talking in mystery, we're talking about Joe Burrow. By the way,
We will visit that in the off season.
we will. We'll
Right
have
now
many
is
things to talk about.
the Vikings need to focus on the task at hand, and I will say for JJ to prove himself, winning this Sunday would be big for him. I think the Vikings can do it. Whether they will do it or not, we'll talk about in the predictions piece.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the fact that they were able to come off of you come off of what was a very ugly loss against Seattle, which we talked about the fact that they are playing a really great brand of defense in Seattle, and Sam Darnold, to his credit, had some moments, had some flashes in that game that led to that victory. But you go from being shut out on the road in Seattle to then beating the Commanders and shutting them out. So I think that flips the script, and I think it gets some confidence back in the building. It gives some confidence to the fan base, seeing that Kevin O'Connell can call a good game and J.J. McCarthy can make the throws and do the things that we've talked about for so many episodes here, is that he's a talented young QB. He was going to need time to develop, but he can. There's really the upward potential, the ceiling that is available to JJ McCarthy is very, very high right now, and I just have a really hard time believing that the Vikings are going to move on from that. If this season unfolds in a way where you see a kind of an upward trend at the end here, if you piece together some wins, and even if you end up short of 9-8, or you only win 7 games or 8 games, I don't necessarily see that as a failure for the Vikings this year. Yes, it doesn't meet the expectations that were put on this team in the preseason, but again, we've talked about kind of measuring, kind of putting aside those expectations and realizing what the reality is with a young QB that needs time to develop this year. So, but as I said, as we both said, got to take care of business. That 1% playoff chance can, it does. There's still a chance, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, and you gotta my goal as a Vikings fan would be to go try to get those 9 wins. Just go try to win out. It's easier said than done, but it is possible.
I mean, I think Dallas is going to be a big test. Do you guys have another game against the Lions?
Dallas is going to be a big test. The Lions are going to be a big test. Giants might be with
depending on what version of Jameis Winston you get.
Yeah, and then the Packers. For some reason, the Packers always struggle in Minneapolis, so I'm going to say that one out of the Vikings have the advantage. But it's it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. With 4 games left, I'm not too concerned. I'm not going to say the Vikings make the playoffs or even go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a rock for the rest of the season, but I think the Vikings fans should embrace it if they are choosing to develop a young QB. And even if they do go after Joe Burrow in the offseason, it will give JJ a little bit more time to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, right now, mathematically, none of the teams in the NFC North are eliminated from the playoff picture. It's some things have to unfold, as we talked about. The Vikings need to win out if they're going to get there. Probably the team that has the closest kind of inside track that's right now on the outside looking in would be the Lions, which they're right behind, literally right behind the Bears with an 8-5 record. Bears currently, after a loss to the Packers, sit at the 7 seed, which that's just a wild discrepancy that happened. One loss knocked you all the way from the 1 seed to the 7 seed, and Packers currently sit in first place in the NFC North, and as the current 2 seed. So over these last 4 games, we're going to kind of see things unfold, and we'll talk more about the playoff picture as it comes, as it starts to set more. But as of right now, you would have, if the season ended today, you'd have 2 teams from the NFC North in the playoffs. It would be the Packers and the Bears, and they would be rematching in Lambeau Field if they were playing a playoff game, because you have the 2 seed playing the 7 seed if that were to happen. But that, again, that might change, because one loss can mean the difference between right now being the 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 7 seed at this point.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Definitely see what happens. And the
Absolutely.
Lions have the toughest schedule with the Rams and the Steelers in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they're going to have
and
to take care of some business as well. So we're going to see how that unfolds. The Stafford versus Goff Bowl, which we'll talk about in predictions.
yeah.
Um,
Well, do you want to get into that one right now?
yeah,
I got a couple things on my mind on that one. So
let's do it.
Stafford versus Goff. I feel like Stafford always plays very well against his own team. I think Stafford's going to come out. He's going to dominate, especially with how the Lions have been playing recently. Um, don't be surprised to see the Rams win by 2 scores. I'm going to go with the Lions. Or, no. The Rams by 10.
Rams by 10. Rams by 10. Okay. Yeah. This is, okay, so this is America's Game of the Week on Fox. 325 or
325, yep.
Yep, 325 game. Big time matchup where Jared Goff is going to go to, travel on the road, play in Los Angeles. Um, I think Los Angeles is always a tough place to play. SoFi Stadium is, whether it's a Chargers crowd or whether it's a Los Angeles crowd, I think it's always a tough place to play. Um, the Rams have been phenomenal on the defensive side of the ball. Devontae Adams is having, a career year. Looking,
Not to mention the offensive side of the ball too.
yeah, yeah. Offense
Yeah.
has looked. Their running game is fantastic. They've got great wide receivers in Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua. I'm not going to remember the tight end's name, but they have had a steady clip of success and have looked fantastic week in and week out. This is a 2-score victory to me for Matthew Stafford and company. They take care of business. I think it's a easy 14-point victory.
Okay.
I'll take a 2-touchdown win for the Rams over the Lions and kind of end up burying, not fully burying the Lions' chances for the playoffs, but putting a big dent in them getting to the playoffs. So,
Okay. Let's go the Browns and the Bears. So it is at Soldier Field. I do think that the Bears have the upper hand in this one, just given given the coaching. Number one, it's going to be something tells me like this game is either going to be a blowout one way or it's going to come out down to the wire. I'm still going to go the Bears by 2 scores. I'm going to go by 10 points for the Bears as well here.
okay. So, definite. I agree with you there that it's a definite, advantage for Chicago this weekend playing in Soldier Field. Which, by the way, the game time temperature is listed as 10 degrees with wind chills getting down to negative 20 degrees. They're down there by good old Lake Michigan. So it
So
is.
it's going to depend on the game.
Yeah, so it's going to be absolutely freezing in Chicago this week, and it's going to be absolutely freezing everywhere in the Midwest this weekend. But Chicago, negative 20 wind chills, so just kind of classic, really freaking cold outdoor football. Um, we talked a little bit about the fact that this could be a trap game. If Chicago comes in flat and they're still kind of recovering from the hangover of the loss to Green Bay, I think they could be surprised a little bit by Cleveland, but I'm not crazy enough to pick Cleveland against the Bears. The Bears have the better coach, they have the better team. Um, they should take care of business and win this. I'm going to go final score 24-17 So just a 7 point, a one touchdown win for the Chicago Bears. They're going to take care of business and kind of get back on track, right the ship after the loss to the Packers last week.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with the Vikings. BJ, I'll let you take that one away.
Okay,
Want to
so
hear your take on it?
yeah, Vikings at Dallas, if I'm correct, Sunday night football matchup.
Yes. Yes.
So historically, correct me if I'm wrong, they've played better in Dallas than they play at home against Dallas. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, they play better. And both teams do that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like both team. Like this has been a series between where we've had some really fantastic matchups that have been we've had barn burners, we've had nail biters that have come down to the last play. We've seen blowouts. We've seen just a lot of kind of up and down performances in this. Generally, the road team has been favored in this matchup. I really like this between it's like Dallas is sitting at 6-6-1 right now. They're kind of if Dallas wants to be in the playoff picture, they got to win this game. So this is a must win for Dallas. We discussed the fact that this is kind of the Vikings can kind of push to win out here and see what they can do development wise with JJ McCarthy. I like the Vikings coming into this game, riding high on the confidence that they got from shutting out the Commanders last week. I think they they still have all of the talent on the offensive side of the ball in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. This is a game that you should be able to go into Jerry World and really just cut up that defense, just find a way to make the plays, make the throws that you need to. It doesn't have to be pretty. I think it's going to be a close one. Vikings win this by 3 to me. This is a, 3-point victory for the Vikings. I like the road team though.
Yeah, this was kind of my thought going into it, just because I feel like the Vikings might be underestimated. If they can get the run game going early with Aaron Jones and Mason, they should be able to bleed the clock a little bit and kind of control the game. If not, then Dallas can quickly take control.
Yeah.
I also see the Vikings winning it by 3. I also see it being a pretty low scoring game, so don't be surprised if it's like a 17-14 victory on either side.
Could be. I personally would love if we just got a bunch of offensive fireworks back and forth and it came down to the last possession and JJ McCarthy gets the ball, 2-minute drive, gets him into field goal range, and Will Reichert takes care of business and kicks the game winner.
You know what I recognize? When Will Reichert kicked his season long of 62, they were up 31-3. They had no business sending Will Reichert out there to kick a 62-yard field goal.
But why not? Why not?
Yeah, if you're up by that much, especially, it's you gotta try it. But
I mean,
it's
is that Kevin O'Connell just showing a little bit of mercy and just saying, okay, hey, we'll kick the field goal, the really long field goal with our nearly perfect. Like the fact that Will Reichert has missed 2 kicks and those 2 kicks were missed because of because of stadium interference.
Allegedly.
They don't want us to talk about that. They don't want us to talk about that. Roger Goodell is now flagging this episode and saying, no, you got to stop talking about the camera wire in London, and you got to stop talking about the other time that it happened as well. So
yeah,
no, I like the road team in this. Dallas is not an unbeatable juggernaut. Dak Prescott can have flashes. He can have moments of playing really well, and we've seen it. When Dak is on, he's an MVP level quarterback. When Dak is not on, he looks like hot, stinky garbage. So,
Yeah.
you know, but I would love offensive fireworks. That's what I'd like. Really high scoring offensive fireworks because I want an exciting Sunday night football matchup. That's what I would like.
Yeah, we'll see how what it turns into.
Yeah. For your sake, though, for your sake, for your sanity, I just hope that the Vikings comfortably win this in like the second quarter and we don't have to worry about it. So your blood pressure and your heart rate are just fine the whole game.
Go to bed at that point, or at least
Yeah, exactly.
Or the next day.
Yeah, exactly. That way you don't have to be tired the next day. So.
Yeah.
So, final game of the slate this weekend. Another 325 matchup. Big matchup for Green Bay, traveling to Denver and facing the 11-2 Denver Broncos. So, what thoughts do you have on this game?
All right, so I like the Broncos in this picture for just a number of reasons. They've had a decent defense throughout. They've been balling out on offense this year. They're playing in their home stadium, which is an advantage for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because playing a mile above, everybody else, they're playing at elevation, and it is tough. I just can't see the Packers adapting, especially with some of Jordan Love's play as of late. I like the Broncos here. Let's go by 7, just because I can see them kind of controlling the game a bit early, and then kind of running the ball a little bit later down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, this is a huge test, right? If Green Bay is going to be put into that like upper tier, the considered a contender and really elite, you need to go on the road and you need to win this game. Now, that is easier said than done. Going on the road in Denver, where you're at elevation, a mile high, you're playing against the NFL, arguably the NFL's probably the best defense that they've seen all year. The offense is, been playing really well for Denver. They've shown that they can score points in spurts really quickly. They've got a really great head coach in Sean Payton. This is one of those matchups that I've had circled on the calendar, and as the season has unfolded, I'm getting a little bit nervous about this matchup. For the past 4 games, Packers have been playing really good. I think it's hard. It's going to be hard to go on the road and win this. I think they can do it, but I'm being a realist and thinking that if I'm looking at these last 4 games, this is the game that the Packers could lose. So I'm going to go, because of the defense for the Packers, I think this is a close one. I say Denver wins this by 3. I think it's certainly going to be a rock fight. I want to see what both of these defenses for Denver and for Green Bay can do. If Green Bay surprises me and pulls out a victory, I'm going to be absolutely thrilled, and I will gladly, eat my crow if I'm wrong on my prediction. But I think this is the game where it's going to be hard for the Packers. They got to go on the road, and I think they probably come out, in a close loss in this.
Well, or their keys to victory would be to run the football, find their holes, to punch it into the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. If you can, Yeah, I mean, key to victory here for Green Bay. If you want to go into Denver and pull the upset, you need to, I think you need to run the ball well, obviously limit the turnovers. I think you're going to need to find, pick your times to find the explosive plays from Christian Watson or Jaden Reed, whoever that might be. Christian Watson, honestly, is my guy that I would think is going to get an explosive in this game if they're going to find that. But find a way to get long, sustained drives and get into the end zone and really keep the Broncos on their heels and keep that offense off of the field. That's sometimes the best defense is offense. That sort of adage. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's either way. I think it's going to be a really great game this weekend. So
Yeah, and we'll look forward to it. And with that, are we done?
we are done.
We have we done it? Okay, all right. Well, this has been for the North. I'm Chris,
I'm PJ.
and we hope to see you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.